Here's a question. How do you coach the person who just seems to do the bare minimum? Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, and I'm here to help you reach your potential as a leader and a human being. Welcome to Remarkable TV and the Remarkable Leadership Podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you're watching or listening so you don't miss any future episodes. Are you ready? Well, let's get started. So a while back, quite a while back, I was asked this question, and I found this question. I know I answered it in a workshop or wherever I was, but I found this card, and I wanted to read it to you because it was the inspiration for this episode. Here's the question. What sort of expectations should I have for an employee who has great potential and the ability to do high quality work, yet only wants to do the bare minimum? How can I mentor this person? Well, it's an important question, and I've been asked versions of this question multiple ways, and trust me, we could spend a lot longer on all of the implications of this question than we have time for in this video, but I want to take a shot at the most important things to keep in mind. Now, I want you to note first that there are 4 parts of the answer to this question. There are 4 things going on here. There's both the current state, what the person's doing, and the future state, what you believe they could be doing or are capable of doing, and then also what their view is as well as what your view is. So current and future, their view and your view all matter. So what I've got is 7 things to help you think about if you're walking through this challenge for yourself. You got a person, you think they could do awesome work, better work than they're doing today, and it feels like they're just doing the bare minimums. First, number 1, check expectations. Because I can tell you that in hundreds of these kinds of conversations with leaders and with team members, that oftentimes that person that you think is just doing the bare minimum believes they're fulfilling the job expectations. And so if they think they're fulfilling the expectations, what else is there? The job expectation is the definition of success. So if you don't think they're doing anything more than the minimum, the first thing you need to do is check with them about what they think the expectations of the job are. Super important. And then you need to do that in conversation to understand their perspective, not to immediately say, well, no, that's not what I mean. This is actually the job. Ask them what they think the job expectations are. Ask them how they think they're doing. Ask them what they are seeing, their perspective, because now you're in a better position to clarify expectations. Because, man, you think they could do so much more, but maybe they think they're already meeting the expectations. So maybe you have to clarify, describe them more clearly, help them raise their sights a little bit, all of those sorts of things. You, in other words, need to help them see what you see, but not just about the expectations, but also about them. It's a safe assumption to make that the large percentage of people that you interact with have a lower self-image than you might think they have. And so one of the best things that you can do is to help them see what you see in what you see as their potential. Like, help them see that you believe they can do more and be more than they're doing now. Not just because you're trying to whip them into greater levels of productivity, but because you really believe, as the person asking this question did, that this person has potential to do great work, greater than they're doing. If you will help them see that, you have no idea what that might do for them and for their internal motivation to strive for more. And next, you may need to rethink minimum. Right? You may need to rethink minimum. Because listen, if they're meeting the minimum job expectations, that means they're doing the job they're paid for. And even though, I understand you'd like to have more from them, but meeting the standard is different than not meeting the standard. So when I read this question, I hear the person telling me their frustration and wanting them to do more because they think they're capable of doing more. And yet if they're meeting the minimum standard, we have to recognize that maybe that person's situation is such that that's all they can give right now. So the next thing we have to do is be supportive, because as we learn more about how they're doing and what they're seeing and how they're operating, maybe they're in a life situation where, man, this is all they've got to give right now. And if you understand that, you can be supportive of them, and you can be supportive of them seeing that greater potential too. Both of those things can be true. And then the last thing is to let it go. Because ultimately, if you do those other 6 steps, it gets down to the other person has to make the decision to do more, to do higher quality, to do whatever it is that you are hoping for. And all we can do is provide the expectation and the resources and give them the support to achieve those things. As long as they're meeting the minimum standard, we might, not immediately, notice this is the last thing on the list, not the first thing on the list, we might have to let it go. 7 things that you can do. You may have someone on your team that you think, man, I really wish that they would, that I know that they could perform in a new and different and better way. And I really wish that they would. I get that. And hopefully these 7 things help you think that through. And I hope that you take those to heart. And I hope you take them to heart as well. Let me close with today's remarkable reminder. If we see someone's potential, the best gift we can give them is to show them what we see. One of the most important things that we can do as a leader is to help our people grow. And leaders at all levels need to get better at helping their people grow. And one of the places that we can help you with that is for all of your new and frontline leaders. Maybe you're a brand new leader and this was incredibly useful to you. And if that's true, or if you want to support the new and frontline leaders in your organization, you need to learn more about what we do in our content that we call From Bud to Boss. And you can learn more about all of those offerings by going to kevineikenberry.com/bud to boss. That's BUDTOBOSS. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you took it to heart. Hope it helps you help your folks grow. And I hope you'll be back next week for another episode of Remarkable TV and the Remarkable Leadership Podcast.